What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, AV, or the Man Victory, where we all win together through peace, love, and transparency. And welcome to a special episode of Matters of the People, where we all talk about mainly issues that are not broadcast in mainstream media, but we share them out to light because they actually need to be addressed. So, shout out to the three people that's in this live. Thank you so much. Um, this is going to be a much more fun, interesting topic because I have two special guests. One of them you've actually remember from my podcast that I had about last month. Miss Amanda is back with us. And I also have my very great friend, Mr. DJ Main Event is in the house. So in today's podcast, we're pretty much going to get straight up into the nitty gritty. Why do women love toxicity? Why? And it's not just one gender. Both genders do it. We got some men that love toxic women, but in tonight's podcast only, we're going to be talking about, why do women tend to love toxic men, toxicity, things of that nature. So let me bring up my panelists up real quick. Please welcome back, Miss Amanda, and also welcome back, my guy DJ Main Event. Round of applause. How's everybody doing? Hope everyone's had a blessed day.
I'm good. I'm ready. I'm ready for this topic. I'm ready for it.
Why he's so you like man, you like, yeah, I'm ready for this.
I am. It's an interesting topic, and I had a position point initially when you brought me the invitation to appear on the stream, and after really thinking about it, my position has flipped. So I'm ready to get into it. I'm ready to talk about it.
Okay. All right. Since we are talking about a very unique subject, and because I know Amanda, you're in a very strict time restraint. Amanda, why don't we start this off with you? So, in your opinion, tell me, why do females tend to love toxicity? What is it about, not just in like today's era, but just in general, in your own words? Floor is yours.
Women are taught to be problem solvers. We're taught that we need to solve problems, and toxic men are a problem we want to solve. We want to figure what's wrong with them for them to act that way. And there's also a narrative push that women need to stay in relationships, to be a loyal, a good partner, girlfriend, wife, that we must stick through thick and thin, even if that thick and thin is incredibly abusive, incredibly damaging to our mental health. We're taught to stick through it without regards. We, as women, we're socialized that our worth comes from a man, and that men determine that worth. So in order for a man to determine that you are worthwhile, that you are worthy, you must stick through that. And there's not a lot of options of good men out there. So no.
I'm joking with you.
It's all about, I remember touching on it on the last podcast I was on. It was right. How people are raised. And a lot of people are not raised with the same values. It's such a difference in opinion on parenting, whether or not you're more hands-off, you're more hands-on. What sort of gender roles are you instilling in your children? Especially girls, we're socialized to cook, clean, be a wife, be a mother. We're told that we must look a certain way, even after childbirth, which physically alters our body. Men are taught to be providers. They're taught to not be emotional. They're not taught, they are taught to only want their desires, and that a woman should cater to them. So there's just a multi-layered problem that requires multiple solutions rather than just a one-size-fit-all solution.
Mm-hmm. See, I love that. See, look, I love it. DJ Man Event, your thoughts, your perspective, anything that you agree with, anything you disagree with, we're all friends here.
I do agree that gender norms and gender roles do play a part in, like she said, how females are taught that they should be. However,
I'm messing with you.
however, women don't choose toxic men. Men are the men pursue the woman, right? So 9 times out of 10, the male is going to go after this female, and he's going to be like, I want this female, I want her for this, that, and third, whatever. So the woman is going to, play the role of hard to get, do whatever she got to do to try to will him in. The problem is, it's the man behind the scenes doing what I call fuckboy shit, pretending that he wants more from her, and he's stringing her along, playing with her. And that is where you get this whole toxic dynamic because of what's happening, what's going on behind the scenes. So there's the pillow talk, there's the intimacy, the cuddling, the I want this with you, I want that. But at the same time, the dude is out here doing this, that, and the third with everybody, with everybody else. So it's not the woman who perpetuates and keeps this thing going, because you gotta think the moment she tries to walk away from him, what he's going to do. Oh, I'm sorry, I want you back, I want this, I want that. Think about the movie A Thin Line Between Love and Hate. Now,
oh Lord. Lord, that actual moment. And that's one of my favorite examples that I like pulling from too. But no, keep going.
Now, my black card is taken because I've never seen the movie. I've seen clips of it. I've seen parts of it. So, my black card is taken, but I've seen like the end of it. But Comedy Hype on YouTube did a video about how Martin Lawrence's character played himself in that movie, because he pursued her, and she told him, no, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? And so, she finally gave in to him after so much pursuing, like a normal situation, and she had sex with him. Hold on. Oh, did it freeze? Like, what's going on?
We can still hear you.
Right. I'm noticing that too. It's like some moments they're like freeze on my end or a case of B, but I don't know. Everyone else good? Please let me know so I can be a quick fixer man over here, okay? I will tear this laptop apart and put it right back together.
Wow. I don't know if we need to do all that, but that movie is a good choice. There's another movie that comes to mind. Two could play that game with Angela Bassett. They were playing games with each other. It goes both ways. We're just happening to center on toxic masculinity and toxic men right now. But the entire problem I had with the movie, and I've watched both movies, I did not like in the beginning of the movie where he was not honest. Honesty is the basis and foundation of any relationship. If you can't be honest with your partner, then there's really no reason to be with your partner at all. So men choose not to be honest. Women choose not to be honest. And it's a problem where we need to stress a value of honesty in people, because honesty determines a level of trust. Honesty determines whether or not the type of character or person you are. If you know that you don't want someone, there are plenty of women that are okay with that. It's just that having that talk. But those are not the women they want. That's the problem. They're going to want someone that doesn't have that values. Relationship sexuality is messy and it's subjective. And people have their own varying sort of position on a spectrum. The political scientist is coming out of me. So you know how we have
wait. I'm with you. You know how we do it.
I'm a political science major as well. Yeah, I'm a political science major as well.
Wait, exactly. See, look at God. Bless you.
I agree with you. But it's like, men have a tendency to not be honest about what they want. And, there's that saying that a man knows that he's going to marry you within 6 months. He don't take 4 years. And so the problem of it is, they string people along. And that's just what it boils down to. So it's a lot of fuckboy shit. So it's not the woman who's the problem, because like I said, 9 times out of 10, the male pursued this female and he's giving her mixed signals. And so she thinks it's more than what it is. And so, even with the gender roles and how women are, brought up to be, it's still that whole situation. Like, okay, you're telling me you want this, but then your actions are saying something different. And so when I try to leave, think about the Michael Jackson song "Never Can Say Goodbye." If you think about that third verse, she wants to go, but he's trying to get her to stay. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So it's a lot of that type of stuff. So it's that push-pull thing. And so it's not the women who, like I said, keeps this toxicity going. It's the male. And so think of how many times a woman has moved on and got somebody new, and then out of the blue, she hears from her ex-boyfriend. You know, it's a lot of that type of shit. Mm-hmm. So it's not the men. I mean, it's not the females. It's the males.
You got to make that switch up real quick.
Well, honestly,
oh, go ahead, Amanda.
Honestly, I've actually seen situations where people that should be the rule, to always think that in 6 months a man knows what he's going to do in that relationship. But there are outliers. There are people that have been together for like 7 years, got married after the 7 year, and still had a long, healthy marriage. But women tend to think of that outlier as the rule rather than the exception. If the rule of thumb for me, we're together for 4 to 5 years and there's been no talk about marriage, no talk of the next step forward on something, then that's not what you're thinking about with me. It's ladies need to take clues. There are flags. Nobody can be 100% decepting all the time. There's clues.
We had this conversation at work, I think Friday or Monday, but the problem that I have with what you just said is that women don't properly communicate. You drop hints as opposed to saying what it is straightforward. Right. So technically, I will agree with you that if 4 or 5 years have went down the line and there hasn't been any talk about marriage, that might not be where his mind is because you two never talked about it. And if that's something that you want, for me, my thing of it is, let's talk about that. Like what it is that you want down the line. Like you know how you have a probationary period at work and it's 90 days. Like you have your expectations of 90 days. 6 months, a year. Like those are conversations that people really should have, but they don't. You know what I'm saying? It's always superficial, and because of how women communicate, there's always that whole misunderstanding because y'all cannot, for whatever reason, say what it is that you specifically want. Like it's always talking around it or dropping hints. Like it's like, oh, I think that looks nice. Like, okay, just fucking say you want it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow, just coming for the throat there. No, so.
I'm mad how you use that exact example. Hey, I'm dead. I'm dead.
Communication can be difficult. And I'll speak to this as a Black woman, because when I talk about certain issues, I'm either labeled as angry all the time, even though I'm not angry, or I'm labeled as too emotional. It's back to that socialization. If I'm mad for a reason. I'm going to tell you why I'm mad. I will clearly communicate that with you. And if you don't understand it, even after I tell you in plain English about it, then I'm going to get even more upset. And then I'll get more emotional because you didn't listen to me. Because I don't know.
Because ultimately, look, I'll be real with you. So I had a government job, federal government, and I worked there 5 years. And I had a lot of issues with Black women telling me how I should be. Telling me, a lot of like trying to alter my being because it made them feel uncomfortable. But whose issue at the end of the day was it really? It was their issue. And I remember this one lady said to me, she said, "You're smart as a whip." And she said, "You're very forthcoming with information, and that can be intimidating to a weak person." And so at the end of the day, if you come out of your face and you telling somebody how you feel, your steadfast and your belief, the only people that are going to have a problem with that is somebody who's insecure with themselves.
No, he's right. I'll have to give him that. I'm a very strong-willed person. I am like my mother and maternal grandmother and sister. We are very much, I guess I'll say like alpha females. We are very much telling you what it needs to be. As you know, Anthony knows that about me. I'll tell him very well. But he also gives me that same energy back. It's about being with someone that's not like you, because that gets boring in my opinion, to be with someone that's entirely like you, but similar enough to understand your personalities, how you communicate. And if you have two different communication styles, then work on it. A lot of people in the Black community don't do therapy. I think, honestly, a lot of people need to go to therapy, especially relationship counseling.
Yeah, I agree.
Before you get married, go to marriage counseling. I am Roman Catholic, so in our faith, we are required to go through what we call pre-Cana classes. wrong or right. A priest that's unmarried giving marriage advice, you can argue that's not very wise. You can argue that it's good to get it from a spiritual side. It's the fact that we're still going to classes to talk about what it's like to be married or to be in a relationship. That's the key point and takeaway from me bringing up my faith.
Technically, somebody who's not married could provide a different point of view because they're not biased because you don't, let's just say you come into me for relationship advice and I'm married, but you don't know that if I'm happy in my marriage, and I could be giving you advice from a biased standpoint. So you gotta, sometimes it's nice to talk. You gotta be able to take and, pick and choose what's relevant to you. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt and, take what applies to your situation and what doesn't apply, you kick it to the curb. So, it's just a different point of view.
I want to go back to your point because I do have to go. It's age 20. I like that you said that those conversations about what your expectations are and what you want should be in the beginning of the relationship. And that's how I approach my current one. I came out with a notebook with a list of non-negotiables. So we sat down for dinner and we went through a list of non-negotiables on both sides. And we came to an agreement on where we would go forward. Some things we're willing to budge, other things like kids, marriage, where you want to be in 5 years, education. Like, we're both wanting to have advanced degrees. That's important. We're not going to stand in the way of each other. We know that. That's a non-negotiable point for us. Whether or not we want kids, that should be something that's talked about. Because if you get later down the line and you find out one person's child free and the other's not, there is going to be resentment on either decision you make. Because children should be two yeses, and if it's one no, then don't have that child because they'll definitely see the resentment of the parent that did not want them. But yeah, have those conversations. Well, it was a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you so much, Amanda, for coming on this live. I wish you did not have to go so early because I'm over here in the back. I'm like, I don't need to say nothing.
We should have a part 2 to this because
I was telling them
my internet connection went out.
This absolutely, we're gonna have a second part to this, and it's gonna be the opposite because clearly we've been talking about male toxicity more than women toxicity.
Yes,
I mean, I don't see women being the aggressors, being the toxic person. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they can't be toxic, but in most cases, again, it is that situation behind the scenes because I know too many men who have been that person. And so it's rare or uncommon to see a female being, one, the aggressor, and then two, the person who can't let go in the sense that you have this psycho person. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's more common for the man to be the fuckboy doing fuckboy shit to the female or these women. And, because think about it. A woman goes to jail. This is a topic that came up in the girls' Lovely T's live stream. She talked about Remy Ma and how Pat Poose was down, holding her down while she was in prison. But in most situations, men don't hold women down when they're in prison. It's the other way around. And then she was talking about how it's, when visiting day at the men's prison, you have the girlfriend, the baby mother, the wife, all these different people coming to see him and they fighting in the prison and shit like that. But you don't have that for the female in jail, because a man is not going to go 8-9 months without getting sex. And so, they can't have a conjugal visit. At the end of the day, he's stepping out doing whatever he's going to do. So at the end of the day, you really got to think like it's on the outside looking in. It looks like it's the woman who is the person who's just like, oh yeah, I love this. No, it's not that. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know what's being said to her. You don't know how their relationship is behind closed doors for her to believe that this man wants more from her. And so at the end of the day, it's more so the male who is the toxic in the situation and, doing the fuckboy shit, keeping her there and stringing her along. And so, it's just unfortunate that, dudes can't just say, I just want to have sex with you and keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? Or, we can kick it, but I'm not looking for nothing serious. Like it's always, oh, I want to be with you until you get some sex. And then it's, I've been hurt before, or I want to take it slow, or, some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I can't put the blame on the females. Initially, I was just like, but then I thought about it. It's not. Like I said, thin line between love and hate. He fucked her, and then wanted to diss her, and she did tell him while he was asleep that if you break my heart, I'm gonna kill you. And so at the end of the day,
I
you know,
mean, the irony of a mad black woman, a bathtub.
Classic. Say no more. Classic.
So
All right,
I'm just saying,
I gotta go.
communication.
Right. I know you gotta go, so I will see you in part 2.
I'll see you in part 2. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm dead. I'm already having enough fun as it is. Shout out to you again, Amanda, for hopping on here and giving that great perspective. But no, to your point, DJ Main Event. My thing is this, and this is one of the things that I always tell my mentees, boy and girl. People ask me this whole question in terms of like, oh, well, Chris, why is it that the girls always go after the bad boys and the fuck boys and X, Y, and Z and all the toxicity or case may be. And it's not just the fact that you have these particular guys that are actually brewing that crap. That's actually like getting these. That's literally like reeling these girls in and them acting in these particular ways simply because of him. It's also the simple fact of the matter that, quite frankly, it all comes down to priorities and their environments. If you don't have necessarily that great, like, mind you, remember the saying, it takes a village. It takes a whole village to raise a child. So if you literally don't have a good environment where you're not teaching men and women or young men and women in terms of like what behaviors to look for, what patterns of behavior that you need to look for, not just in terms of relationship, but also just in general, that girl that's going to be into that particular guy that's on that funky boy shit, where case it be, she not even going to know. So 9 times out of 10, once she gets done with that whole thing or that whole phase, where case it be, she going to have that main example of, oh, I'm not going to deal with this again, but still get caught up in that whole toxic situation simply because A, she didn't learn from the first lesson, and B, more importantly, she's still willing to take on those particular habits simply because she didn't have that necessary group or those peers that actually tell her beforehand, be like, hey, this is what you need to look out for. If you want to be with a man that actually wants to build with you, he's going to show you that.
When you say that, but when you say that, think of the broader perspective of what's lacking in her life, and the girl that you described, what's lacking in her life.
Father.
Exactly. So again, where does it fall back on?
Right.
It falls back on the male. And so as you was talking, it reminded me of the scene in the Notorious movie where Biggie cussed Lil' Kim out, calling her all sorts of bitches, and his daughter was right there hearing that conversation, and then he said to his daughter, don't you ever let a man call you a bitch.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? But this is how you treat Lil' Kim, but you want to pass this on to your daughter. You want to
tell your daughter not to let someone else.
But you can't even treat the woman that's been down for you, proper. And so at the end of the day, it's like, when you take that example of Lil' Kim and Biggie, like, I never paid this no attention until I read the lyrics a few weeks ago to the Mary J. Blige song, I Can Love You. I didn't know that Lil' Kim's verse was about Biggie. I didn't know it was about Biggie. And so when you listen to those lyrics and you understand that she went through all that shit for him, and then he's Charlie Baltimore, married to Faith Evans, and sleeping all around, and she's testifying in court so you don't go to jail, doing all this shit for you, and it's just like that's fucked up. And so this woman loves you, and you didn't play with her, you know what I mean? But then behind the scenes, you don't know what's being said to her for her to keep that those feelings going on, you know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure she probably would have walked away, you know what I'm saying, at some point. But the reality of it is, it's that fuckboy nature, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just, I can't put the blame on the female as, initially. Like,
well, let me ask you this then. Well, let me ask you this then. Could it be the opposite? Because I haven't come across situations like this before. I don't know if most people have come across scenarios like this before, but it's definitely less than an amount of fingers in my hand. But I know a few instances to where you will have like the opposite. So you'll have like a decent, good guy, whatever case may be, raised well, has his parents in his life, or the good jazz, the good
Well,
fundamental.
okay,
Right.
so okay,
It's an
in that
example that can
situation,
happen too.
yeah, but you talk about the good boy who has money, or like I'm not gonna say money, but um he has a career, he has a good job, you know,
There you go.
he's well to do, he's like an upper middle class type of person. But you gotta keep in mind the person that will be toxic for him would be some quote unquote bad bitch or Instagram model or some type of female along that realm who is
Mm-hmm.
only out for materialistic things. So in that sense, you can't necessarily blame her because that's what he's choosing to go after. You know what I'm saying? You don't want the woman that is your level, that's at your level. You want arm candy, you want a trophy. And so you want a superficial female who, you know, ain't got shit to offer besides pussy. So at the end of the
I love
day,
it.
like,
I love the
I
transparency.
mean, at the end of the day, like in that scenario, you got to put the onus on the person, the male, because you're pursuing, like, you're up here. And this is
Mm-hmm.
something that this guy I went to Hampton with, who has a channel or whatever on YouTube, and he talked about how when you're up here,
Mm-hmm.
you're vibrating at a 10. You can't sit here and deal with people vibrating at a 3, because they're just going to try to pull you down, and then both y'all gonna be threes together. So if you're vibrating at a 10 and you fucking with bad bitches who are really at a 3, your energy's coming down and you're going to be on that level, and then she's just going to walk away when you have nothing more to give. So you don't want somebody who's going to be a succubus and suck shit from you. You want somebody who's going to match you at your level, and y'all can, vibrate higher together. So I can't put the blame on the female because she has nothing to offer. You know what I'm saying? It is the dude who is the cream of the crop, the top tier, that is going beneath himself to fuck with, to fuck with nothing. So no, I still can't put the blame on the female. So, and the only female that I know that would do fuckboy shit was this butch lesbian I know, who, in my opinion, has low self esteem, and she doesn't value herself very
Mm-hmm.
much, and so we had this conversation about, can you be in love and still cheat? And my response was, no, you
No.
can't. And
No.
she, from her experience, she disagrees. She said that you can. And she's talked about how in the past she loved the girls that she was with, but she cheated on them. But you talking about you dealing with project chicks who ain't got shit. You know what I'm saying? You just looking for a quick nut, and you're telling them that you love them, but you don't even love yourself enough to mess with somebody who's on a higher caliber. You know what I'm saying? But that goes back to her self-efficacy and how she views herself. So she's a toxic female in that sense, but she's taking on traits of a toxic male.
No. Right.
So at the end of the day, it's just like, but that's the only real example I know of, like, an actual toxic female that's doing toxic bullshit. But like I said, the quote unquote bad bitches or whatever who ain't got shit to offer, they're going to be what they're going to be. Like, they're bucket heads for the most part. So at the end of the day, what can you really expect from them? So you have to blame the male or anyone who's choosing to deal with that type of energy for whatever problems that they're going to have. So I again, that's on that individual who chooses to put themselves in that situation. So I, again, can't blame the female because you don't have shit to offer beyond pussy. And so at the end of the day, if you are male and you have status, you have a career, you have your head on right, then I don't think that you would want to entertain that for longer than a few fucks.
Mm-hmm. Sure, even for the guy that doesn't necessarily have the career or the good status or case to be, because I always tell people this, it's all it takes is one bad experience for most people. All it takes is one bad experience. If you still mess around and fuck around with that chick or that person after that first bad experience, you are the problem. You are the reason why this pattern of behavior keeps on happening. Because everybody wants to pinpoint something else or someone to be like, oh, this is the reason why I don't have any money. Oh, this is why I ain't got, oh, I'm not married. No. Everything starts with self-love. That's it. So if you don't take the time to figure out what are you doing right, what are you doing wrong, what is something you can improve in, what's something that you don't need to improve in, you're going to keep going into the same old bullshit every single time.
People want someone to blame for their problems, so that's something
Of
that's
course,
always going
it's
to
human
happen.
nature.
Yeah.
Right, it's human nature.
So accountability is not always going to be there, and so there's always going to be somebody that someone blames for what happens in their life because they don't take, stock of what their actions, what actions they took to cause the problems that they're having in their life. So, you have those types of situations that are just going to remain present. Say la vie.
Right, exactly. And that's like the one thing I can't stand. It's like, it's almost like, how we were kids and our parents would be like, don't do it. Don't you touch that stove. Don't you go to that outlet. And yet they was like, as we got closer to it, they wouldn't say nothing. They would let us learn the hard way. Like that's what I feel like. I feel like there's a lot of people who are out there, whether it's regards to relationships or just in general, that even though when they have like people, and not necessarily like their parents or things like that, but if they just have someone that's like trying to at least help them out in a sense, and they still like be like, man, I don't need to listen to this person. I don't need to do this. I'm gonna do this on my own. And then after they actually deal with that harsh reality or that harsh experience, or the case may be, that's why I feel like that's kind of like the turning point in terms of whether or not they're actually going to be actually willing to like learn from that experience and move forward, or at least begin to move forward, or whether they're going to keep on with the same old bull crap where it's just like, oh, that felt good. Let's do it again. It's like, that's it.
I had a toxic relationship, and somebody said to me, when you get tired of being hurt, you'll move on. So, when you get tired of putting yourself through some BS, you'll learn to walk away. So you're right, self-love. But at the end of the day, sometimes, people think that people will change over time. And it goes back to that whole notion of what's being said, pillow talk, and then that whole notion that, how we feel about somebody, we think that ultimately, that person will eventually feel the same way about us. And so, it happens, and, you learn from it. And you learn, like, I don't want to go through this shit again. So you do better. When you know better, you do better.
Right. Exactly. Well, I want to personally thank you so much, DJ Minivent, for hopping into this live stream. You definitely made it real transparent in this motherfucker. Love it. That's the main reason why I wanted you and Amanda to hop onto this exact topic. I was like, ooh, this is gonna be good. But no, I definitely appreciate you, my guy. Any final thoughts that you want to share with the people, or anything in particular?
I'm just sorry that my internet connection, had problems. So, my apologies.
Right. My internet connection is having some issues too. So you ain't the only one. Yeah. You wasn't the only one. Like I peeked, I was like, wait a minute, why am I freezing? It's like, I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, oops, I'm down. What the heck? But no, I definitely appreciate you hopping on this podcast, man. We definitely gonna do a part 2 to this. Okay. Definitely got to do a part 2, especially when we can get a lot more cool, like-minded people like ourselves just to engage in some great proactive conversations. So yeah, I definitely appreciate you hopping on here, man.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No worries, man. Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening, and
thank you. You do the same.
Yep, likewise, man. Because I'm about to eat. I'm starving. Okay, I'm about to go ham in this on Jack mac and cheese. Like somebody like it stole something from me. So yeah.
Yeah, you're not putting sausages in the mac and cheese, are you?
No. Listen, okay. I am not. Okay. Look. This is not BOF. Okay, it's an insider, y'all. Y'all will learn about that in my no cap storylines once I get everything set for that. But no, it would be none of that. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
All right, well, enjoy your mac and cheese, bro.
All right, man. Well, you enjoy the rest of your night, man, and I'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right, man.
All right.
That's my guy right there. All right, y'all. So thank you guys so much for sitting to this special episode of Matters of the People. I will make sure that we have a second part to this great live stream topic, because this was a topic that I've had in my mind for a very long time. So I want to give a first special shout out to DJ Main Event and Amanda. We will definitely have a second part 2 to this exact same topic, maybe in the opposite of this topic, depending on our schedules in terms of when we're all available and all that good jazz as well. Shout out to all the people that actually watched the live stream, either during the live stream and or during the playback. And more importantly, for more Automatic Victory and or Matters of the People content, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to Automatic Victory AV. Please, one last thing. If you want to see more live streams like this, then you absolutely have to follow my Instagram at AV1s, okay? Because I will be starting to go live on Instagram more often. I'll still be going live on YouTube every once in a while, so something like this, maybe on like a Wednesday or maybe a Thursday on Matters of the People, but I will be going more consistently live on my Instagram. So if you guys love what you guys saw this evening, please follow me at my Instagram. As a matter of fact, I'm about to put my Instagram right up here right now, so that way you can actually be hip and make sure that you guys follow my Instagram. So let me go ahead and set this scroll real quick for you lovely people. Ooh. But down below at the ticker is my social media. So, maybe, I did have it right. That's what I get for overthinking. But again, shout out to my special guests, Amanda and DJ Main Event. I know DJ Main Event, he also has his YouTube channel as well. So I will have his YouTube name and his channel information in the description as well. Definitely give him a subscribe, especially if you love high positive energy. He's one of the best DJs that I personally know. So definitely give him a check at his YouTube channel and subscribe. Like, I promise you, you will not regret. And for more Automatic Victory and Matters of the People content, please be sure to not only like and subscribe to Automatic Victory AV, where we all win together through peace, love, and transparency on YouTube, but also make sure that you follow me on my Instagram as well, as I will be starting to go on Instagram live a lot next week, more likely next Tuesday. So I want you guys to subscribe to AV1s. That would be the main social media platform that I will be going live on Instagram in the event to where I don't rarely go on YouTube. So love you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe.